welcome you to a grounding with women at the forefront of the Free Congo movement. Spelman College's Diaspora in the African World program and Spelman College's Refugee and Forced Migration minor are co-sponsoring this event with the Friends of the Congo, and we're pleased that the Friends of the Congo have saw fit to honor us with Women's History Month. And we are trusting that the information received and the information given will be received wholeheartedly. We wish to thank Carrie Crawford and Bibi Indala and Hajija for their presentations. But I want, in particular, our presenters to know that this semester, at least the freshwomen at Spelman College have studied the Berlin Conference. They have seen the film King Leopold's Ghost, and they've also seen Raoul Peck's film Lumumba. So they are grounded in some elements of the movement in the Congo. And in many respects, most of our classes have also made certain that current events have made mention of the things that are going on in the Congo as well as the rest of the world. So with that, I want to say thank you and welcome to the Spelman College community.
Should I go first? If I'm not sure if Carrie's on.
Yes, go ahead, BB.
Yes.
You can introduce FOTC and then get into your presentation.
Do you want to introduce FOTC, Maurice?
No, you go ahead. You just go
ahead. Okay. So, my name is Bibi. I am a volunteer with Friends of the Congo. I'm not sure how familiar the class is with Friends of the Congo. But to give a little bit of background, Maurice, who's on the call, and Carrie, they're like co-founders of Friends of the Congo. Maurice was founded on 2008, 2007, I can't remember. But basically, Friends of the Congo works with grassroots organizations in the Congo in various capacities. They work with, groups of activists, groups of women. They work with we work with a lawyer that's working in the mining sector. They have the Congo Basin Coalition, which is in the works in the area of environmental justice. So they do just about everything. I'm sure I could say more about Friends of the Congo, but Maurice, you can add if I am forgetting anything that's critical. But for myself, my name is Bibi. Like I said, I am born in Kinshasa. I have lived in South Africa, Canada, and I've been based in New York City since 2017. And then I started volunteering with Friends of the Congo, I believe, in 2019, 2018. Not long after I moved to New York City. And my volunteering has been spread in various areas. I've helped coordinate events. I've worked with interns. I've helped plan Congo Week. And I've been recently supporting the Free Congo movement. So I've done just a bit of everything with Friends of the Congo. And how I came about working with Friends of the Congo, really, it's growing up, I've always had this question that lingers in my mind, which is like, why me? Right? There's so many people, young girls and young women that are just like me that don't have the privilege of being on this part of the world, that are in refugee camps in Eastern Congo, or they're living in poor neighborhoods of Kinshasa. So I often wonder, like, why me? Like, why am I here and I am not there? I could easily be one of these young women, or so I think that's what drives me into this work. I feel like it's my duty to give the voiceless a voice, to advocate for them, to bring awareness to the social and political issues in the Congo, because they've been going on for so long. Since you guys are acclimated with some of the key historical moments in Congo, you would know that Congo has been unstable pretty much before the independence, but also right after the independence with the killing of Lumumba. And it has continued till today, where some people consider that it's a non-existent state because all the infrastructure have essentially collapsed. And as we speak today, I think they're saying there's over 7 million people that are displaced within the country. I don't even know how many millions of people have fled the country. So there's just, and the media coverage around it is just non-existent. So I feel like it's our duty to bring awareness, to give the voice to the voiceless, and to really drive this movement and to carry the narrative, and educate each other. And it brings me a lot of hope to see that Spelman is introducing the Congo to the student, because I could say, I grew up in Canada and the US, and I wasn't really exposed to some of these issues. I've had to learn and educate myself and get involved by myself. So it's great that it's part of your educational curriculum. And it's great that we have these spaces where we can educate and bring awareness. And I would like to say it's really important that we all get involved, even for you guys at school, because the problems of the Congo are our problem as a whole, because a lot of what happens, like the Congo and the US are deeply connected in history, whether it's like through Lumumba and Malcolm X, or the mineral, or the green energy. It's all deeply connected and it all concerns us. So it's our duty to speak about it, to bring awareness about it, and to get involved. I didn't prepare too much of a long presentation. I wanted to use this opportunity more to exchange with you guys and to answer any questions that you may have. So I will end my presentation here.
Thank you, Sister Bibi. At this time, are there any questions from the audience?
I have a question, and that would be, given your grounding, what do you think would be a good way for students to really be involved and engaged in the Free the Congo movement, given the fact that there's so much stuff going on right now in Haiti and Palestine and in other locations on the planet?
I think spaces like this are good to get students involved, right? Like you're saying, they've watched several movies and they've received material. So this is a good starting point. Yes, there's a lot of information. There's a lot happening in the world. I think a good way you guys can get involved, like Friends of the Congo has a lot of resources, a lot of option where student can get involved in various capacity, right? Whether you want to focus on women's issue, there's a space for you to get engaged in that capacity. Whether you want to do environmental justice, there is also resources for you to do that. So it's really up to the student and their capacity and what their areas of interest are. And I think with Friends of the Congo, there is the capacity and the space for them to get engaged. It's just a matter of reaching out. Like, I'm going to share my email. If anybody wants to get involved or engage, we can help them, find that specific area where lies their interest and how they want to get engaged. But also, if they want to learn on an individual level, there's a lot of material out there. I think there's a lot of momentum of the Free Congo movement, where you're able to go online on social media, TikTok, and there's a lot of material also to get educated. But definitely Friends of the Congo has a lot of resources.
I'm looking in the chat and I see one of our participants has asked, how has Western capitalism affected the ecosystem of the Congo?
I mean, what we're witnessing in the Congo is the direct impact of, I don't want to put all the blame on the West, because as Congolese we also have our part of responsibility, but it's a lot of what we're witnessing is the result of the Western capitalism and the demand and the big corp and their need for minerals and various. It's just so complex, but I think they're directly related. Um, I can speak so lengthily about it, but I think like yeah, capitalism and the demand from the West and the big corp is those demand is what we're witnessing in the Congo, the results.
Well, one of the things that I appreciate about your remark is that you are not romantic. It is important for people to recognize the internal contradictions of our respective countries, and so I want to commend you for that. I know that my experience has been working primarily in the Atlanta area. There are people who ignore the failings of various African communities, and I think all I'm saying is that if we are to be in the process of doing our work, we have to own our stuff, but we also have to recognize that Western media is always still trying to make certain that any blame for any failings that exist on an African people belong on us and not on the expansionists of imperialism and colonialism. So I want to say that I appreciate that.
Thank you.
There's go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say there's a question from Gabrielle Cassell.
Hi, I'm a first year student at Spelman and I work in our Women's Research and Resource Center. So my question was, how can we kind of bring some awareness to specifically around Congolese women and girls situation? That's been my biggest concern and main thing that I've been interested in diving into more and engaging with. And for me personally, how could I get involved in doing some work around the situation of women and girls in the Congo?
Thank you, Gabrielle. I think you said your name. So yeah, there's a lot of groups in the Congo that do work around women's issue because, as you can imagine, when there's war and instability, like we often say, it's women and children that pay the big price, right? They are the unspoken victims of this war. We've even labeled the war like they use women as a weapon of war because of the rape that happens. So obviously there's a lot there to discuss in the areas of women. Again, it depends on which area you want to specify. Are you just concerned about women in general, or do you want to speak about women victims of rape? Do you want to speak about someone reached out to me because they're doing hygiene, like menstrual hygiene for women. There's so women are impacted in all kinds of way. Personally, I have a maternal health initiative where we provide free prenatal care to expecting mothers in Congo. But there's also Patricia that runs a cultural center in Kinshasa, Andre Boin Center. So there's so many ways you can get involved in issues around women. I guess my question to you is I would ask you to be a little bit more specific, and with that I think I will be able to direct you to the right resources and the right people that can really help you get the information that you need.
Thank you. And I think, yeah, I definitely agree. I think with the work that we do in the Women's Center, we talk a lot about how misogyny functions as a system of oppression intertwined with, things like white supremacy, colonialism, imperialism. So I think especially what you were saying first about gender-based violence being used as a war tactic and as a way to oppress a people, that would be an interesting and important place for us to focus on.
Sure. Yeah, there is a lot. There is a lot of information in that because that has been a long-standing issue in the Congo. So I don't know, I can share my email in the chat, and you can maybe reach out. We can maybe connect offline to continue the discussion. I don't know how that sounds.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I saw another question. What has been the most fulfilling part of working with Friends of the Congo? With Friends of the Congo, is that the question?
Yes.
Oh, I mean, uh, the most fulfilling, I mean, to me, the feeling of purpose and self-accomplishment are like very fulfilling to me, and being able to connect directly with organizations on the ground, being able to speak with journalists on the ground or doctors at the clinic directly, and seeing the impact of the work, seeing the work that we're doing have a direct impact on the ground is extremely fulfilling, right? Because normally when you work with like big NGOs organization, there's so many levels that you don't necessarily get to see the impact of the work that you're doing, but the work that you do with Friends of the Congo has a direct impact because we are working with people directly on the ground. So I would say that's the most fulfilling.
Thank you, Sister BB. Thank you, students, for the questions. Sister Gabrielle, who asked about getting involved, can get involved by sending an email to info@friendsofthecongo.org. It's in the chat. And please, can you guys, if you have a chance, please put your contact emails in the chat as we continue going through this.
Yeah, I will also share my email.
One of the questions.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
Is the other speaker available?
You can ask your question first, Doctor.
Okay. I'm interested in basically two things. One, women's evidence of women's leadership in the Free Congo movement, because more times than not, what we see is men at the forefront. And I'd like to you or anyone else to be able to address that. And then the second question is there going to be any participation in Geneva, Switzerland during the second week in April? There is the third session of the Permanent Forum on Peoples of African Descent, and they're going to be focusing on reparations and women's issues and gender issues and things of that nature. There'll be countries represented. There'll be experts presenting. There will be civil society organizations presenting. But I want to know is, will there be anyone representing the Congo at that convening? And I'm also encouraging some involvement in that area, because one of the things that I've known from being an activist for all these years, if you're really trying to change society, you have to make certain that your voice is heard in as many different forums as possible.
Yes, was the question for me? Sorry, I wasn't clear if it was for me or for all of us.
It's basically for the Friends of the Congo. So like I said, it was two questions. One, where is women's leadership in the Free Congo movement? And two, will there be any participation in the United Nations Permanent Forum on Peoples of African Descent?
I think there's a lot of women in the Free Congo movement. They probably just don't get as much exposure, or they're not at the like, they probably don't have the same platform as the man. But there's I can think of so many of them that I can name. They work in their respective area within their community. But like, we're here. There's Mama Bibian. There's so many of them that work at. Sorry for the noise. uh, in various capacities. So we're here. They're definitely there. But it's true that in Congo, it's mostly ruled by men. So you see a lot of men in power, but there's, like I said, women are the backbone of society, and they're there doing the work. I was not the second question. I wasn't aware that it was happening, so I would love to get more information on on that convening.
Well, as soon as I get your email address, what I'll do is I will email you the information and the agenda that will occur in April.
Oh yeah, I've shared my email in the chat. Yes, thank you.
I'm anxious to hear some more students. Jocelyn McCullough, are you there?
Yes, greetings, everybody.
Well, let me ask you this question. You are currently in Rwanda. Could you share, perhaps based on your studies and experiences, what are some of the connections that you see in Rwanda and in the Free Congo movement?
It might be some percent.
I would say, in terms of my background in refugee and forced migration, there's definitely a lot of connections, in terms of discrimination and prejudice and just daily interaction. But in terms of correlation, there's a lot of correlations with the government. And I would just say it's important to be aware of the US's involvement in conflicts abroad, because I feel like that's a crucial point in how we function when as young Black women traveling the world, who are, as indigenous or African Americans, when we travel, how we contribute and how we interact with especially the Rwandan women and Congolese women, and how to be there for them. It's important to be aware of the United States role. That's what I would say. I hope that answers your question, Dr. Calamar, and thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, we're ready to speak with Sister Hadija.
Very good.
So,
Hi everyone. My name is Hadija. I am a volunteer with Friends of the Congo. Happy to be here to answer any questions. Sister Bibi spoke very eloquently about the role of women in the Free Congo movement. Women are definitely the backbones of Congolese society. And that is why sexual violence against women is used as a weapon of war, because then it breaks the fabric of society and enables those people who want to take from Congo to do just that. So, yeah, happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Adija, can you share some of the work that you've been doing since you started volunteering for Friends of the Congo, from your interviews on Al Jazeera to the videos that you've shared, the participation that you've had in social media groups and conversations that you've had with people on the ground, on the front lines, like Petna and Neymar. Can you just like walk the students through what your experience has been like since, I guess, November?
Yeah, sure. So I have had a long-standing love and respect for the DRC as a country. I was born and raised in Kenya, and growing up as a kid in Africa in the 90s, Congo was always in the zeitgeist, a public consciousness even as children, mostly because of Congolese culture and how beautiful it was, especially for me, Congolese music. was the soundtrack to my life and to many of us, African kids growing up. And so, yeah, and when I learned more about Congo, I'm so glad that you all have a base knowledge of the Berlin Conference, which was actually called the Congo Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have a good base knowledge of the socio-political history of Congo, which is key. You have to know those things to have context for what's going on right now in the DRC. And also, knowledge of Patrice Lumumba. So all that is great. And so for me, this deep love and respect for Congo, um, yeah, led me to where I am now, to reaching out to Friends of the Congo, looking at their work. I did a lot of research on them, found out that they work with grassroots organizations all over the DRC being this vast country. So that was very impressive to me. Um, and so, yeah, I went on, I had a conversation with Maurice and I told him that I was raising awareness on TikTok. And so I just begun with the insurgence of violence in 2021 when M23 attacked Eastern Congo again. And I went from there, sort of raising awareness and teaching people who really didn't have any understanding of what was happening in the DRC, and emphasizing that the Congo is such an important country. Its importance cannot be overstated. To be honest, if you look at its role in climate change and the Congo Basin and the Congo rainforest being the second lungs of our planet, and the Amazon right now being, degraded as it is. So Congo is central. Um, and not just that, if you go into history and look at how leading figures of the Pan-African movement spoke about Congo, they understood the importance of Congo. Kwame Nkrumah did, Malcolm X did. And so we have to speak about Congo as young people. I'm so encouraged by you all being here. And so, yeah, I was invited on Al Jazeera stream to talk about how we can continue to raise awareness and how we can continue to talk about Congo. And yeah, happy to be a part of the movement. Thank you.
If I may, one of the things I would like to share with the panelists is that in the African diaspora and the world course, we always try to make the connections because we recognize that the pre-Congo movement is part of a global movement to fight white supremacy and patriarchy. But since you've shared with us that you're from Kenya, I'm just curious to know if you're familiar with the work of Dr. Cora Ann Presley. Well, if you're not familiar with her, she has done primary interviews with the women of the Mau Mau. And I think that that's one of the things that we also need to do, and that is to look at women who are on the first line struggle against these oppressions. And I should mention too that our students at Spelman recently this week have even watched the film Flame, dealing with women who are guerrilla fighters dealing with the situation in Rhodesia, which would later be Zimbabwe. Having said that, I would like for us to hear from some students to ask some questions or even share some information in terms of their learning.
Well, this question is for Hadija. I've seen your content before and I've really enjoyed it and it really helped me. It brought it was like one of the first times like I started really understanding the current situation in the Congo. And so I wanted to ask you like how has it been being like a social media creator that's posting pretty much solely about Congo, like what challenges have you faced with that? Because we know that like the media conversation is being dominated by multiple different like conversations right now. Like especially we see like social media has been a huge part of like the Palestinian solidarity movement. And while that's like been really great, it's also been difficult for other struggles, such as struggles that are going on the African continent and throughout the diaspora to get the same amount of attention. So I just wanted to know how that's been for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. It's been I get discouraged sometimes, but not discouraged in the sense that I stopped talking about what's happening in Congo because I believe that is critical, it's key, and it's not just a right now thing, it's for the long haul. We have to keep talking about Congo. But right now, in the current climate, I think what I do is I try to draw parallels between what's happening in the DRC and what is happening, for example, in Palestine, right? Using, for example, Rwanda, who is the aggressor in the war in Eastern Congo, drawing parallels between Rwanda and Israel, right? These two countries who export more minerals than they mine. And so sort of trying to make those connections for people, and being patient with people because in as much as it makes me angry that people are just don't have this base knowledge of even where the DRC is. When I first started making content on TikTok, I was using a map. I was using a world map, a map of the African continent, and saying this is where the DRC is in the heart of Africa. And so I think with creating content on Africa and on Congo, particularly, we have to exercise some patience. But people are learning. We're all learning together. And it's been encouraging to see in the past couple of months, in the past couple of weeks, the rising global consciousness has really been encouraging, and I hope it keeps going.
Thank you so much.
We have another question in the chat.
Can I add to that? Sorry, I just wanted to add a quick, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to highlight, with the conflict, not a conflict really, with what's happening in Palestine and Gaza, it gathered a lot of media attention. And the people that were like driving the Free Palestine movement, they have also incorporated what's happening in Congo, in Sudan, and other parts of the world, which also helped these other movements gain, a bit of momentum. I think where the issue really lies, it's in the media, right? The media platforms that don't cover what's happening, whether it's Congo, Sudan. So I think in a sense the Free Palestine movement has helped the Free Congo gather momentum in the last few months, in my opinion.
And also just to quickly add, I'm sorry, also understanding that the perpetrators are the same. For example, you all have knowledge, Mobutu Sese Seko was a military man who was trained by the IDF. And so, the toppling of the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, all these things are connected, right? The presence of the Israeli billionaire Dan Gutler in having monopoly over the diamond mines and the diamond industry in the DRC, and diamonds being Israel's, what runs Israel's economy, right? Its biggest contributor. And so just drawing these parallels, we have to keep reminding people that it's all connected. And surprisingly, it all usually goes back to Congo. And so, yeah, it just goes to show how it just all starts with Congo, and we need to be paying more attention, regardless of what the mainstream media is doing. We social media people on social media and just people of good conscience have to raise this awareness on our own.
I see Deb has her hand up, and I see that our other speaker is present too.
Thank you, Baba Kwame. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. So my question is along those last lines. There's many angles to what's happening in a very large area like the Congo. And as those of us who have been pushing to make sure that Congo is heard while people are talking about Palestine, I guess my worry / question is, how do we keep those channels open for all the different angles of the conflict in the Congo, and not for the line that the Western media wants to push? Let me know if that doesn't make sense.
It makes sense.
I would say, this is Carrie Crawford. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you. You
Yep.
are our presenter, and my understanding, you are the chair of the Friends of the Congo. So we are welcoming to hear your voice. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And in regard, thank you all for being here and being a part of this free movement for the Congo. I became involved with the Congo from the 1990s, when I first heard about this more than 6 million Congolese being killed and hundreds of thousands of women being raped as a weapon of war. And no one was saying anything about it, and I could not understand how that could be true in this day and age. So that was in the 1990s, and here we are in 2024. We formed Friends of the Congo in 2004. So yes, Khadija is right. It is a marathon. This is not a sprint. And it's really about enabling and empowering support for the ground folks in the Congo who are doing the work. And I don't think that is the only way we are going to make this work, make it succeed. We are the backup for the people on the ground, the women and children who are bearing the brunt of this brutality in the Congo. We know that it's all about the Congo's wealth. It's been exploited for centuries, from Leopold to Mobutu to Kabila, the whole gamut. But the way we have focused our attention with Friends of the Congo is basically to align ourselves with what the people on the ground need for us to keep that fight going. I don't see it any other way that this battle is going to be won by the people of the Congo really freeing themselves with the support of the international community. We've seen it done before. Many years ago, the Free Congo movement, which helped wrest Congo out of the hands of King Leopold. So we know that it does work. We know that international pressure works. We have seen also that when we started this movement, this track toward supporting the Congolese, we found that U.S. Policy was nowhere interested in what we were talking about. And so it was a real battle day-to-day battle just to get a hearing before the people, the policymakers, the Congress and the like, to pay some attention to what's going on with the Congo. And so it's really a twofold. We who are on this side of the planet have to do what we can do by any means that we can do it, accessing, sending, reaching out to representatives. We've been very successful, we think, in approaching local communities, municipalities, in raising their voice, passing resolutions and the like to support the Congo. So it's a step by step, a moment by moment work that's required. It's not something, and we've always known it's not something that's going to happen overnight. But I do feel that we are moving in that direction. I feel some momentum moving toward the more support for the Congolese, but also am feeling that the Congolese themselves are coming to grips with what they need to do to make this change, to free, see a free Congo, and a Congo where their children are benefiting from that tremendous wealth that is right now being pillaged by everyone, and everyone is getting a hand, and the people in the Congo are left wanting, without. That's what we see, and that's what that's our mission, to continue to support the groups on the ground.
We have a little less than 15 minutes left of our program, so I'm inviting more people to ask questions. We have the representatives of the Friends of the Congo. They've been doing the work on the ground. It's up to us to assist them.
How do we keep the channels open and not necessarily from the angle of the media? I think spaces like this, right, where colleges like Spelman create these spaces where we're able to speak of the issues of the Congo from all angles and not just angles of the media. I think this is what allows us to do this. And as Carrie said, most of our work that we do at Friends of the Congo is really driven by the needs of the people on the ground. So that's another thing to take into consideration. It's not media.
Yes, it isn't. And unfortunately, we have also found that the legal route has not been very productive in this instance. We know that Google, Apple, Tesla, Dell, and Microsoft were sued not long ago by the international rights advocates for the child miners mining cobalt in Congo. That suit was just thrown out by DC Circuit Court, saying that those parties, Apple, Dell, Tesla, cannot be held responsible for what the suppliers are doing in terms of how they're getting the minerals, and they're just buyers. So we're not, we can't expect much help from the legal community on that, even though we have looked at that route.
Yeah, a couple questions from the chat. What strategies and initiatives do you believe are most effective in raising awareness about Congo? And how can individuals around the world contribute to advocating for the cause?
Well, we have hoped to model ourselves, the Friends of the Congo, in that light, on the apartheid movement, and a lot of that work was done through Trans Africa. And one of the ways that they were very successful is going around to universities and the like, and having programs like this to students to encourage them to get involved. We don't know what we're looking for, that tipping point, so that we will have the kind of confluence of events that happened during the South Africa apartheid movement. It's been a lot. I don't know what the difference is. The devastation certainly is comparable, but we just have not, up until this point, been able to light the imagination, I guess, of the community in America and the West, to the extent that occurred during the apartheid regime. But that is one of our tactics. That is one of our models that we have used to over the years to try to spur more excitement among people on this side of the planet to understand and believe why it is important to them that the Congo, that the people of the Congo resources are not exploited to their death, and that's what's been happening. So we just have to keep moving in that direction. Keep doing events. Of course, we do the Congo Week every October. Second week of every October, we do a full week of activities all around the world, doing lectures and programs. We have film. We do films. We do the Congo and Harlem Film Festival during the Congo Week, and so it's just a question of using our imagination and the technology that we have to do a more effective job of getting the word out and getting people motivated. I think we're trying to get people to understand why this is important, not just to Congolese, but to all of us. We understand that that Africa is a continent of 50 nations. And we see that that is the last frontier of economic growth that we see happening on the planet at this time. And we see that Congo is at the heart of all of this, at the heart of Africa, and we believe that a strong and healthy Congo will support a united Africa. This is behind what motivates us as well. And we believe this will happen, and it's just a question of whose side are you going to be on when it does. We will be on the side of the Congolese.
There are 3 questions in the chat that I think need to be answered. One, it says, I know where you spend your money is really important, considering the fact that the tax dollars, donations may be used to cripple a society or a country like the Congo. The question is, what brands can we boycott, and what are the brands can we support to help Congolese efforts?
Well, obviously, Apple, Google, Tesla, Dell, and Microsoft were just sued because some people believe they had a hand in exploiting the child miners in the cobalt mining situation. That may be a good place to start. Now, the question is, how do you organize that in an effective way?
Well, I know these young people know how to use social media. So that's something that I think clearly falls in their domain.
I would agree.
There's another question that says, how do you think that what's going on in the Congo is not being as heavily presented in the media as compared to the events concerning Palestine and Gaza?
Well, frankly, I think the only reason the situation in Palestine has gotten the press that it has, certainly because of Israel, but also more so because there's an election going on. And one thing that we need to at least focus on before this election is over is to find out where Biden and his folks stand on the Congo. We don't know. I don't think we don't have a clear answer where that is. That's one thing we need to know. So that's something that we need to be asking and get an answer to. Yes, information on Congo Week can be found on the website Friends of the Congo, freecongo.org, and there's a whole page of information to show you how to get involved. We have the materials there. It's just ready there, waiting for you to tap into. Some of it's virtual, but no, there are live events as well.
Can I ask a question of Khadija and maybe even the rest of you? You said that Congolese music was a soundtrack to your childhood coming up. Would love if you guys would put some music, some names that we can look up on YouTube, because part of the work is also linking in that way. I'd be grateful.
That would be great. That would be great. And one other thing that I just came across not long ago, and I wasn't really aware of, that James Weldon Johnson wrote the Congo love song back in 1900 something. So I mean,
Okay.
it's been a struggle, but the elements are there to bring it all together, to take us to the next level that we are aiming to achieve.
Yeah, someone put in the chat that there for Congolese-led efforts, take a look at the following. One can go ahead and look at that. It says, and also the Congolese Studies Association.
Kwame, you missed a question from Sydney Boyd and Lanasia Drew.
Okay, let's see. Where is that at?
623, 625.
Okay, I see. It says, how does the government and social media censorship impact the amount of help the Congo receives? Then it says, what can we as primary users of social media do about it? How does the government and social media censorship impact the amount of help the Congo receives, and what can we as primary users of social media do about it?
Is it Khadija still on with us? I think that would be a good
Yes.
answer
Hi.
for
Hi. I don't think there we have any challenges as far as supporting the Congolese people directly. Currently, we're running a fundraiser on our Instagram. You'll find it there. You can also contribute directly on friendsofthecongo.org or freecongo.org. And 100% of your donations go directly to grassroots organizations in the DRC. So yeah, we Friends of the Congo have found just these incredible ways to directly support these communities. We host Instagram lives every now and then, talking to journalists on the ground, talking to community leaders on the ground, talking to the women on the ground, like Neema, all these women who are doing incredible work. For example, Neema has a project with Yole Farms that's to do with agro liberation, basically giving the power back to the women to grow their own food, to trade the food that they grow, beans, vegetables, and so in this way empowering these communities and in the long haul eventually seeing an end to the conflict and seeing a free Congo. So yeah.
I believe the last question we have before we have our close, how have women's peace movements in relationship to the Congo influenced and affected the overall peace process? How have women's peace movements in relationship to Congo influenced and affected the overall peace process? We need someone from the Friends of the Congo to respond to that question, please.
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Maybe if Sydney Boyd, if you can come off of mute and explain your question, put it in some context. Sydney Boyd, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here. I apologize for the delay. I guess my question is just like on an overall general basis because I know how like women are very strong in regards to fighting in relation to what everything is going on in Congo. So it was more just like a general question, not anything specifically.
Well, we always know that the women are the backbone of any situation in the Congo where you're fighting for freedom. They're fighting for their families. They're fighting for themselves. They've long been at the forefront of making sure that they continue to generate income so that the family survives. So, and unfortunately, in many instances, they bear the brunt of these so-called wars, these mineral wars, where they attack the communities, and the first victims often in these cases are the women who are attacked for being women. So, but that has not stopped the women from the Congo, and I know women who are in the Congo, who are in America, who are in Europe. All of them are still sharing their strength and sharing their work to make sure that they continue to fight for change in the Congo. And they're always at the front line of it. I remember not some while ago, the women are the ones who organized the protest in front of the embassy in Kinshasa, praying for dignity and peace for the Congo. That was a woman-led protest, and they, with their bodies, laid there in front of the embassy in the DR Congo, and that picture went around the world. So we know that women, and of course they're half of the population in Congo, and I'm sure you're also aware it's a very young population there. So they're on the forefront, no question about it.
Okay, it is, let's see, 6:34. And so what I'm going to do is ask Dr. Was there something else?
Yes, sir. One more. We have a special guest here, Ms. Mwadi Mukange. I was wondering if she's one of our Congolese sisters that does work
Okay.
in the Congo. We'd like to see if she would like to say a few words about the work that she does.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for calling on me. I'm just multitasking here. I found out about this at the last minute. I live here in Atlanta, and I'm currently the president of the Congolese Studies Association, and I've collaborated with Friends of Congo a lot, particularly when I lived in the Bay Area. And so I used to do a lot of presentations with Kambale Musavili. And so I do a lot of presentations, and I'm just not camera ready right now, but would love to connect with Spelman and the other Atlanta-based activists and people who are interested here. I just recently moved back to the Atlanta area, and so very eager to connect. And I put the email addresses, some of the websites that you saw here, some of the community-based organizations that I know about, which I think are doing really good work on the ground we don't often hear about, and would love to connect with Dr. Crawford, Mr. Kwame, and others. Really happy that you put this together.
Now it's up to Dr. Brown Crosby to give her closing remarks, part of Spelman Leadership and Faculty, co-sponsoring this event.
Greetings. Thank you, Brother Kwame. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I can, yes.
Wonderful. I was having audio issues yesterday with this laptop, so I wasn't sure. Plus, I'm fighting allergies. Atlanta. So yes, I just wanted to thank everybody for your participation. Thank you so much to our panelists for your very informative session. We appreciate the resources that you provided and taking time to talk to us and give us background and context about the Congo. I am certainly looking forward to working with many of you. Just another side way of introduction as I close out. I am also the founding director of the Refugee and Forced Migration Studies minor that Jocelyn mentioned, Jocelyn McCullough. She is in study abroad, and she's looking at African refugees. And I also created and teach a class called Forced Migration in and from Africa. And so we definitely talk about, as Sister Carrie mentioned, and others, the women and their struggles and their triumphs, and not just on the continent, but also when they are resettled here in the United States. So I would definitely love to work with all the other organizations, especially now that we know that Sister Mwadi is back in Atlanta. And so we work with resettled refugees, particularly African refugee women. I have a service learning course, and that part is connected to the class, Forced Migration in and from Africa. So we're always looking for opportunities to extend our help and support to African refugees that are resettled in the U.S. And so we've worked with Friends of the Congo. We appreciate you all organizing this, especially ADW, and the work that you all do so well here at Spelman to make sure that our students are always rooted and grounded in where they are and how they can utilize their resources to impact their spaces wherever they end up in the world. Thank you, students, for joining us. I know it's creeping into your dinner time, so we appreciate that. And for everyone, we realize this is spilling over into your dinner time, but we appreciate you taking time to come and have this conversation, this very important conversation. We know that it won't be the last conversation, but we certainly appreciate you taking time to spend with us today. So with that, if there aren't any other announcements or anything else, we will bid everyone a great evening.